Well, and here we are. We are back with segment number 2 of the Cummins Real Estate Group show with Michele Cummins and myself, Curtis Pope. So now we had a little fun in the first half. We talked a little bit about real estate and this cool new listing you have, but now I guess we got to get down to brass tacks and really talk about real estate.
Amen.
I mean, there's real estate in the show title, so we should probably talk about it.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about that. Foreign buyers not being able to purchase in Canada for the next 2 years.
Oh, we're back to that.
Back to that because now it's been implemented. It's happened. It's after
Do we know
January
how
1st.
it works now, though?
Yes.
There we go.
So we want to mention the exemptions because, that's really important to know. One big surprise is, of course, like Ukrainians, they can purchase in Canada. Why, you ask? Well, because one of the exemptions is individuals fleeing international crisis and other vulnerable populations and accredited members of foreign missions in Canada. So that's an exemption. Another exemption, which I didn't know previous to these coming out, was that as a foreign buyer, you can purchase recreational properties. Remember, we were like, well, what determines a residential property?
Yeah, I remember we talked a bit about that. So you can't, so let me get this straight. You can buy a recreational property. So you could buy a house in a Soyuz.
And if it's your recreational property, you don't live there all year round, then yes, you can.
Fascinating. Mm-hmm. So you can buy it, rent it out, make money off it.
Exactly.
And eventually when the freeze is off, it can become your...
Live there part-time.
Yeah.
And some more is residential property located outside of a large urban center.
So if you want to move to Smithers.
I would consider that outside of a large urban center. And vacant land where the land has been zoned for residential use or mixed use by municipal authorities within large urban centers.
So you can buy the land, but you can't, then you have to build. So there's all these loopholes that we were discussing.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like there's a lot of ways of stopping people.
Yeah, if they want to bring their money into Canada, just buy some vacant land, buy some recreational properties, sit on it for a while.
Because that's kind of part of the point is they're buying the properties to get their money out of whatever country they're at. So they just buy land.
Exactly. I've got a couple great parcels of land right now. One off Bell here in Mission and one off Morris Valley Road right on the Harrison River.
There we go.
Call me today, all foreign buyers.
There we go.
And then individuals with work permits residing in Canada. That's another exemption.
Doesn't sound like there's a lot of people that can't buy property in Canada.
Oh, and there's more.
But wait, there's
Mr.
more.
Pope. Indigenous peoples, and international students on the path to permanent residency. There you have it. There's some exemptions. So foreign buyers can still purchase in Canada.
So the whole foreign buyer freeze is a frost. It's not a freeze.
Yes. Oh, I'm coining that. That's great. I like that. Okay, and then I wanted to talk about, because, this is a real estate news show to some degree, and we've got...
Some days.
And an article just came out on Friday the 13th, and it's Canada's bank regulator wants to tighten rules to address real estate risks. Now, that's no surprise, but what is this news about what they're going to do to tighten it. So it was released by Better Dwelling. This is a blog by Better Dwelling. And you know that the BOC, Bank of Canada, is actually going to be looking, again, they're meeting on the 25th of this month, so it's coming up. And they're talking, the talk of the town is that they're going to probably go up about 0.25%. So last year they were talking about the next time they may go up another 0.5 basis points, but now they're talking about maybe 0.25%, but also they may not at all, but most likely 0.25%. We'll see. But so Canadian home buyers might face stronger regulations around mortgage borrowing soon. So the Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutions, here on, we're going to say OSFI, Canada's bank regulator, is soliciting feedback on a series of new rules to reduce leverage and mitigate risk. Now that risk tools like the stress test have proved why they're important, they're seeking to address any gaps that may have popped up. Here's what they're looking at. Canadian mortgage borrowers might see a loan-to-income ratio limit. So households may soon face this loan-to-income and debt-to-income restrictions that restrict total leverage. The loan-to-income ratio is the measure of household debt as a share of incomes. For example, a 200% loan-to-income ratio means a borrower has an outstanding loan that's 2 times their income. When a mortgage has a loan-to-income ratio of 450%, that's 4.5 times income, the borrower is considered over-leveraged or highly indebted. Breaching this threshold means a borrower is vulnerable to shock. Currently, there are no restrictions on the amount of loans that can be made at this level. An analyst by OSFI shows nearly 1 in 3 mortgage originations in the third quarter of 2022 are to over-leveraged borrowers. It's down from 40%, but since the start of the pandemic, highly leveraged borrowers have become a bigger part of the market. OSFI is considering changing this by adapting a high loan-to-income threshold of 4.5% for mortgages. This wouldn't eliminate these borrowers since lenders see less risk for certain high-income, solid credit buyers. It could instead limit the share of these mortgages to 25% of lender originations. It's higher than the pre-pandemic average of 23.8% of new mortgage loans, but still means 8.7% of recent loans would not have been as large as they were in the last reported quarter. The tentative impact would be reduction in leverage, improving the ability to absorb shock. It would also lower leverage, reducing the maximum the market can absorb. This is probably a good thing since highly indebted speculators have become a significant part of the market, outbidding end users. So New Zealand recently implemented a similar measure that's had a significant impact, though not nearly as big as higher interest rates. So reducing over-leveraged mortgage borrowers with debt service coverage rules. So the OSFI is also considering debt service coverage restrictions, which would limit obligations to a share of income. Federally regulated lenders also deal with these to some extent, at least when it comes to insured mortgages. Insured mortgages are tested to ensure that their housing payments don't exceed 39% of their income with a gross debt service ratio. Housing payments and all other debt, such as auto and student loans, are restricted to 44% of income using a debt service ratio. Beyond those requirements, B20 does not articulate limits on this GDS and TDS for uninsured mortgages and generally permits to establish debt service metrics under their facilitating an accurate assessment of a borrower's capacity to service the loan. So the stress test and service loan debt ratio have all been really good. Canadians' mortgage rules have been some of the best in the world, but more bluntly, federal lenders aren't officially restricted for uninsured mortgages, so they're expected to have risk mitigation planning, which means not make dumb loans. However, there's no standard across federal lenders.
No dumb loans.
No dumb loans. Or anything written in stone. So we're going to have to watch this because they're wanting to do this. And with the interest rates going up, it's no surprise. They always implement rules and restrictions more so when after we have a really high hike in the market. But one other thing here is that the Canadians might see a revamped stress test, and it might be applied to consumer loans like auto as well. So you want to keep that in mind. Variable borrowers not sitting on interest rates that exceed the stress tests. I mean, that's who you kind of want to have to watch out for that and keep an eye on that if you have one of those types of loans. So if you want more information, because there is more information on what they're implementing or wanting to implement, I should say, you can just check out that blog, and I'll put a link to it on my new revamped website, because there's more information on that. And if you are an investor, if you buy multiple properties, I mean, all this, if you're a buyer, and everyone should be a buyer, because it's, you know what? The 94% of all millionaires got there through real estate. There is a stat. So yes, if you're not a buyer yet, you want to be a buyer. And if you are a buyer, you want to be a multiple buyer. So
it's always fascinating when you read things like that. And, you know, like I was reading a thing one time about all the guys on Shark Tank and all the ladies on Shark Tank, and how they don't buy coffee. Because why would you go to a store and pay $4 or $5 for something you can make in the office for pennies?
It's so interesting.
And but that mentality and that's how you get the money, right? Like even though it's to them, it's nothing, but it's those habits.
Yeah. They know how to spend a lot of money when it comes to, because they know they make a lot of money on that. But when it comes down to spending the dimes and the dollars and the cents, they're really careful because they're the ones that's what adds up. I noticed that in a lot of well-to-do people, is that they're people might go, oh wow, you're so like, you won't even buy a coffee, or you won't buy that extra thing. You want it, but why aren't you buying it? But that's how that partly why they're where they're at.
Because that discipline and that mentality, yeah.
Yeah. And on that note, I've got some new listings I think people should buy so they can become millionaires quickly.
There we go.
Through real estate. I've got a brand new, actually 2 commercial listings just hit the auction block. So they're going to be up for auction right now. You can go online and you can have a look at them. You can have a look at all the information and you could be part of the bid. One is the Woodside Inn on Mount Woodside, and it is underutilized and it is wonderful land, and it's got water rights to the well that everyone around, all the development around, hundreds of homes are going in around this spot. This is commercial property, future highway commercial OCP zoning, and currently it's got 4 motel rooms. It's got a couple bedroom separate that they rent out through like Airbnb sites and things like that. It's got a vacant storefront that could be a diner. You can get a liquor license for it, all sorts of things. It could be a little grocery store. That one just hit the auction yesterday, and then I've got this wonderful renovated commercial building with the most popular one-of-a-kind restaurant in Agassiz is also hitting the auction. So have a look at my website again. I do have a tab link to my auctions, and the auction link is there. And then I've got this great estate property. Oh, so I'm so excited. So I walk in, I have this evaluation of this property, and it is full of amazing, her mom kept so, she has collection. She was so organized, but the whole house is full. It reminds me of my sister Gina. Whole house is full of stuff, but so organized and valuable and older stuff and unique stuff. It's amazing. And I'm walking through going, oh my gosh. And so we're going to combine an open house and an estate sale together next Saturday at this property acreage, I should say, over 2 acres. In Mission, it's gated. The house is original owner. They built it when she was 17. They got married and they moved into this house, and it's been in the family ever since. It was one owner property, one owner home. And you can go on Saturday, the 21st. I and the sellers will be there 11 to 2, and it's going to be an estate sale as well as a property sale. So come shop for a house, a property, and some items. Might pick up some nice items. It's almost 2,000 square feet. It's a rancher, and it's fully forest and pretty much natural and beautiful private property. So that one's at 34392 Ferndale Avenue in Mission. And then quickly, I've got one more I just wanted to mention about a couple of reductions. This Gladwin awesome ground floor newer condo apartment that has a really great patio, and you can walk in right from the patio into your home. It is now $349,000. And that just hit the reduction yesterday. It's right next to the trading post. You can go walk across the way and have a beer. And one more reduction was
it's
mobile.
Got a Cora there too. You can get breakfast every day.
Yes, that's right. It's got a cute little strip mall.
There's a little sushi place there. You're good.
Yeah. And then the other reduction I have, because he wants a quick sell, is a really nice mobile home. Well, I shouldn't say that the mobile home needs a lot of work. I should say nice property. It's a 6,000 square foot lot. Great parking, huge height carport for RV or boat or whatnot, and that's out in Desroches, and that's now only $79,998. So there you go. There's some good information.
Very cool.
Oh, a quote.
I was going to say you must have a quote.
I always last week I was like that too. Oh yes, the quote. Okay, and I have a good one this week. I have good ones.
They're
every
always
week,
good.
Right? Thank you. So this one is something to go with the new 2023 new year, because all of January I call it a new year, and it's from Dolly Parton. Love her. To make your goals, dreams, and resolutions come true, right? Here we go. This is her quote. It starts now. Be ready. Here it is. If you don't take the reins, it's going to stay the same. Nothing's going to change if you don't change it. If you don't change it. That's Dolly Parton. Take the reins.
Costs a lot of money to look that cheap. That's my favorite Dolly Parton quote. Dolly's 1 in a million.
She's full of truth.
She is. And has no filter, which is part of her charm.
Exactly.
All right, if people want more information about these listings you talked about, things like that, where can they go?
The new revamped website, michellecummins.ca.
And join us again next week when we will talk real estate in order to unlock your real estate potential on a show where real estate is maximized. Thanks for listening.